Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome and welcome back to another fun-filled edition of Folklore. I'm your host, Jess, still viewing and reviewing the Sophie and Sudsy primetime storylines of 1985-84-ish. We have the trial of the century, at least for Denver, Colorado. So buckle up, this one's going to be messy. Whether you're new to this or true to this, sit back and enjoy. Tell those kids it's time to play outside or out of sight. Babe, no questions, suggestions, or concerns for the next 25 to 45 minutes. Everyone else in earshot, you can be cool, you can be quiet, or you will absolutely be put out. We are not playing games, baby. We are watching our stories. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Folklore. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to another fun edition of Sober. I'm your host, Jet. Whew, baby, we have one for the books today. I don't often talk about my favorite episodes. I'm still considering this a learning experience. This is a journey. I'm taking my time with it. I'm enjoying each and every delectable bite. But this might go down in history as one of my favorite episodes of Dynasty. I hope your day is shaping up well. If it's not, to hell with it. We're kicking back, we're watching soaps now, talking crazy out of the side of our necks because we can do that. This is what this is all about. So go ahead and pour yourself up something bubbly and bright. I did not make the proper accommodation, so I will be drinking a smooth glass of water / coconut water. That's all I got the energy to do today. And let's dive in to Season 5, Episode 6 of Dynasty, The Verdict. So far, Knots Landing has managed to stay out of litigation, which I can appreciate because the rest of these soap operas love a good court scene, either as a bookend or right in the middle for no reason. Dynasty is no exception. If memory serves me correctly, this is the third, maybe fourth time they've been in an actual courtroom over some bull. Yet another murder case and yet another case of just not raising your kids right. I'm going to tell you what it is. I've decided I have Dynasty all the way figured out. It's about loyalty. It is not about heritage so much as it is about loyalty. Nobody in this daggone family has any. And that's the problem. That's the number one problem with this episode. Now, quiet is kept. I feel like this might be the second time they've had an episode called The Verdict. I could be crazy, or I could just be thinking of all the other shows. We've had JR and Sue Ellen has been on trial. No, she hasn't been on trial. Falcon Crest has been in the courtroom more times than a little bit. Dallas, they've been in court a few more times. Dynasty, they've been in court a few times. But this one is for the books. Lindsay from Irving, Texas writes, thank you so much, Lindsay, for reaching out. She says that her favorite episode is by far the one where we discover that Digger Barnes is not really Pam's dad. That's a very, very good one. I'm so glad that you're watching. She's watching these all for the first time, and she feels like this one is absolutely the best. It was a plot twist early enough in the season, and it supersedes any television show she's watching today. Thank you so much. I have to agree. I think that one might have been like episode 20. It was a little later in the season, not trying to correct you, but I feel you. It wasn't the end, is what I'm assuming you're saying. It wasn't the cliffhanger. It wasn't the season finale, and it was deep enough into the season where things started to fall apart afterwards. Girl, yeah. I literally did not see that coming. I'm so glad you're watching this for the first time with me. I appreciate it. I'd love to know how you stumbled upon the show. Remember, if you have any fan mail or any thoughts you want to share with me, reach out in the show notes. You can check this on your mobile device if you're listening on that. There's a link that says send us a text. Go ahead and send a text to me. I can't send one back, but I will always, always, always acknowledge you. Make sure you include any information you don't want me to share. Happy to not do that. Or you can reach out the good old-fashioned way via email at soaplorepodcast@gmail.com. That's soaplorepodcast@gmail.com. I completely agree with you as far as the types of shows that are on. Actually, I can't tell you what's on now. Lindsay also wants to know what are my favorite episodes so far. I thought you'd never asked, my dear. Ooh, gosh. I feel like I've got so many now under my belt. It does make it a little bit difficult. So I'll give you sort of the genre, even if I can't remember the exact episode. The one that I can remember is The Birthday with Jeff, where Jeff figures out that Fallon has been trying to phone his Uncle Cecil. He's not having it. He decides to make dinner real uncomfortable for everybody. Meanwhile, this is on Dynasty, by the way. Meanwhile, Crystal is still wearing those scammer jewels and she's sweating bullets the entire meal. It is fantastic to me from beginning to end. I think Jeff tells Fallon that she's like a pervert and that she's some weird sort of iguana. And Crystal is sweating bullets on the jet plane trying to get to this dinner. It is a masterpiece. My other favorite episode is where anything where there's a little bit of Blake humiliation for some reason gives me so much joy. I don't know why. That's really not my personality, but I enjoy it on the show. When Cecil from the grave humiliated Blake, I can't remember who was he. He was pretending to be some no-name gangster who had given him $50,000. Then he ends up blowing up Blake. That whole genre is hilarious to me. I enjoyed it from top to bottom. I love Claudia's mental illness days. When she went into her manic episode and threw a doll off the side of the building, it was, I'd love to break bread with whoever wrote that storyline, because you have to be a little bit of a sick individual to even think about that. Geez, trying to think. Any one of those were really fantastic for me. I don't know if I have a favorite episode of Dallas. I mean, there's so many. Anything with Sue Ellen, I tend to really enjoy. Oh, God, I gotta laugh at her again. Where she had to sing Barbra Streisand in her bathing suit. I think that was season 1, episode 3 or 4, where they had the hurricane in Dallas instead of a tornado in North Texas. Ooh, the barbecue. The barbecue where Digger Barnes got schnockered. And he started like tap dancing because he was hot. He's drinking dark liquor all day. I think Sue Ellen got drunk that day too. That was a fantastic barbecue. They need to have another one actually. Since you bring it up, girl. I do also like the tender moments where Sue Ellen was in the hospital and JR's looking at her and he's calling her beautiful and stuff. It's nice to see the humanity there, especially now that I'm realizing that Dallas is more of a slow burn than I had originally considered. Anything with them I'm pretty good with. I also enjoyed the time where Jock and Ellie got to be front and center. You've been listening to my show for any period of time, you know how I feel about the older generation. I like them. Those were my friends. Those were my companions at an early age. I like to see them front and center. I like to see a mix of different ages because people go through stuff forever. And quiet as kept, people in their 80s have the most tea. They have been through the absolute most. They have quite literally seen it all, and I want to see it all on screen. Let me think. Knots Landing, Gary's Bender was by far one of the most entertaining episodes. Actually, Knots Landing probably has the most favorites. Truthfully, I could probably name 8 or 9 episodes from each season that I was just like, wow. I even enjoyed the haunted house one, and y'all know that's not really my thing, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. Oh, the Sid one, I can't say it's my favorite, but I think it probably hit me the hardest just because I did not think they were going to go there. I didn't want to believe that they were going to go there, and I really had no reason to believe that. But when oh God, even as I say it, like my chest is like constricting. That episode was so hard. There was a moment or two in there where I thought, no, they're not. No, surely not. Then they did. Oh, Knots Landing probably has the most moments. Falcon Crest, of course. Anything where Julia turns up is always entertaining to me. I enjoyed when Melissa had to let go of baby Joseph. I liked when Aviator Adonis and Lance kind of got into a little bit of a fight. I like the action sequence, and I really like Falcon Crest finales. They really know what they're doing. It's never been an unwarranted buildup. They know what they're talking about when they do it. Too many favorites to pick from, but if I had to just gun to head right now, it'd have to either be between the Sid episode on Knots Landing or the birthday episode where Jeff reads everybody for filth. And this episode that we're going to talk about today. When last we left, Alexis Carrington Colby was on trial for the murder of the mustachioed and recently deceased Playboy Mark Jennings, who fell to his death from her penthouse apartment. The question for this episode is, did he fall or was he pushed to his death? Thin line between murder and misdemeanors, and it appears that Alexis has been framed or has been set up as the murderer in this case. Soap tax. It's always going to be very heavy on Dynasty. Me watching this as an elder millennial, as someone who has watched hours and hours of Law and Order, has seen Dateline, etc. Most of us could agree, I think, that this case is circumstantial. There is no physical evidence that says that this man was actually pushed over. The defense is quite flimsy, if I might say so myself, although I've never stepped foot inside of law school. A man falling to his death with the highest alcohol level in his blood system does not warrant murder. An inebriated, yeah. Things happen. But that's neither here nor there because she has been put on trial. Now, it is half public opinion, half evidence at this point. Let me set the backstory just a little bit. Denver, as a city, is looking at Alexis as this overindulgent, super wealthy woman who is not held accountable for all of her flaws. She is gallivanting around town in expensive clothing. She is running a multi-billion-dollar business as if nothing ever happened. People are a little bit annoyed at her. She's going to trial. They got a fake Logan Paul lawyer who is set to basically put her in the electric chair if he can help it. And then she got her baby boy Adam as her lawyer. All is well until the end of last episode where we find out that her other baby boy, Stephen Carrington, will be a witness. And this is news to everybody, including Adam and Alexis, who had no idea that Stephen will be called. Why are they talking to Stephen? Surely he's not going to get up on the stand and make a complete mockery of his mother and his family. Or will he? Where should we begin? You know, I feel like I've lived several lifetimes within my lifetime, and I have no regrets. In my early formative years, which I like to call my preteen teen years, I was privy to a life and situationships that most 4-year-olds don't get to see every day. They don't get to really see it. You see, I was often on the hip or in the back seat with teenagers navigating their way through life. So I learned a couple things very, very early on. Number one, if you carry around some sort of doll or some sort of toy, people tend to misjudge your competence. They don't clearly clock that you are clocking everything that they are doing, and as long as you can keep your mouth quiet, people will continue to reveal themselves to you time and time again. I'm sitting with teenagers who tell their parents one thing: we're going to the mall to go to the movies, and they go to their boyfriend's house. Was I there? I absolutely was there. Was I sitting downstairs watching cartoons? I absolutely was. I learned at an early age to keep my mouth shut. The other thing I learned is that loyalty is more important than anything. Sure, I could have blown up their spots, but then what the heck was I going to do on a Saturday afternoon? You can't hang out with teenagers and experience live music and mall food and mall culture and then go back to playing with Barbies on the porch by yourself. No. I made a choice. I made a choice to keep my mouth shut. The only exception would be if something dangerous were to happen, then of course I'm going to step in and see what I can do. Otherwise, keep your mouth shut and you never ever go against the family. Stephen Newface Carrington did not go through the school of hard knocks like I did. He was not gallivanted around with sneaky teenagers, and he didn't learn his lesson early on. So now at the top of this episode, we find him about to sit his narrow behind in a courtroom and give a testimony either for or against his mother. Before we go there, though, we got to talk about Crystal and Blake. So, meanwhile, back at the mansion, Crystal has raided either Kirby's old closet or Herman Munster's old closet because she comes in dressed like an actual triangle in sepia colors. She looks like a child trying to sneak into the movies. Two children, actually. You know how kids get on top of each other's shoulders and they put on like a trench coat? She is wearing the biggest linebacker Herman Munster, broad back, take the door off the hinges tight suit jacket I've ever seen in my years of living. She comes in to announce to Blake, who is frantically making phone calls, trying to recruit people into this Ponzi scheme of an oil scam, and she tells them, Stephen's going on trial. Not Stephen's going on trial. Stephen has been called to testify against Alexis. Blake says, against Alexis for what? Well, he's a witness. He has seen something that night that Mark Jennings died. It's not clear where Blake really stands on this subject. It doesn't seem like he thinks Alexis did too much, but it doesn't seem like he's upset that she's on trial either. Crystal definitely believes or wants to believe that Alexis has pushed Mark off the side of a building, although it seems like it's more of her wanting to serve time for some crime, even if it's a crime she didn't necessarily do. Blake's not focused on the other. He's like, well, wait a minute. I didn't know Stephen knew anything. Did you know? Yeah, he told me. Well, why didn't you tell me? I mean, I didn't know what to say. I was a rock and a hard place. All I know is that in 15 minutes or so, he's going to give a testimony against Alexis. So Blake has to make the heart-wrenching decision. Do I go on with this Ponzi scheme and try to scheme other people into giving me more money so that I can not be persona non grata? Or do I go and watch my baby mother, my ex-wife, wipe egg off her face as my son humiliates her? It's a no-brainer. He and Crystal and her giant shoulder pads are the first thing smoking, and they haul ass down to the courtroom that he is oh so familiar with. Meanwhile, at La Maroche, you're not going to believe this. Two things about this scene are just, actually, only one thing about this scene is disturbing. I will tell you what's going on both sides, though. La Mirage is touted as this beautiful resort, I'm assuming, where the illest and the latest and the youngest and the hottest. Everyone who's anyone who comes through Denver stays at La Mirage. Now, I've seen 75 different tennis courts. I've seen mountains. I've seen terraces. I've seen waiters and waitresses dressed in full-on penguin suits. What I've never seen is a swimming pool at La Mirage, although if memory serves me correctly, I thought Fallon and Adam almost got it in before they knew they were siblings in a swimming pool. I have yet to see that pop up anywhere else. I also think when Fallon had that whole flapper dance, they fell into a pool, which in both cases, if my memory serves me correctly, were inside of La Mirage. This scene, makes me want to vomit a little bit, is about Jeffrey Colby. Apparently, he is the hottest man in all of Denver, and he is knocking down anything with a pulse. He's got a blondie playing tennis with him, and she's all eager to get back in the sack with him. Then there comes like a troop of half-naked people, everybody is summertime fine, dressed in loincloths or less. It is little bitty everything. Women have on the smallest bikini. The men are wearing what we can only legally call shorts. Today we would call them drawers. But everybody's walking around half naked on their way to the pool. And I'm like, I ain't never seen no dang pool. So as a band of hotties passes by, one of the hotties, who's a girl, decides she needs to stop and holler at Jeffrey Colby to make sure she can put in her bid for a little bit of extra time with him later on, if you know what I'm saying. He's kissing one girl, he's kissing the other girl with his highlighted eyebrows all of a sudden. And as he's making out with one who's upset about the other, the radio comes on and announces that Stephen's country ass is going to sit on the stand and testify against his mother. Okay, I can buy a lot of things. I can buy that the defense has put together a case that says Alexis heave-hoed, giant, drunk, hot Mark Jennings off the side of a building. Gave him a whole swan dive with a glass in his hand. Sure, I'll believe that. I'll believe that Stephen magically had this memory that he's been quietly sitting on for the last 2 months. Sure. What I won't believe is that Jeffrey Colby, after having a full conversation with a woman, can make her fiend in a way that she would stop herself with a band of hotties, fine men at that, okay? That she would stop to put in a bid to share an evening with him. I won't believe it. But if I'm supposed to, fine. Sure enough, whatever. So meanwhile, back at the courtroom, the judge is still hungover. No one will ever convince me otherwise. Adam is getting loud in the chambers because he ain't know that his brother was going to go on trial. How y'all not going to tell me and my mama about my brother? What is this about? The judge is like, dude, I'm hungover and you're loud. I swear, if you keep this up, your mom will be planting grapeseed in Guantanamo Bay. She'll be being cornrows on convicts for the rest of her life if you don't calm down. Stop yelling in my chambers. I'm trying to get straight now. So the judge has to make the decision. Is he going to add more coffee to his cup, or is he going to add that Don Julio? Probably Don Julio based on the rest of this episode. But Adam's like, yo, somebody should have given us the head up. How come we weren't? The other attorney's like, listen, we have to do our due diligence. Let's just let this play out the way it's going to play out. The judge warns Adam, if you act a fool in there, I swear you and your mom are going to be in the clink. Don't play with me. Hungover, I'm tired, ready to go home. Liberties, 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 ladies and gentlemen. So he gets to the piece de resistance. Logan Paul looking lawyer puts Stephen on the stand. And he begins to ask the normal questions. Hello, Stephen, how are you? Can you tell me about the night that Mark Jennings died? This is an opportunity for Stephen, who is the alleged second son of Alexis, clearly the favorite kid, to do the right thing, even if it's difficult. Stephen tells the courtroom that he was driving over. He was on his way to his sister's party. His sister was about to marry this loser for the second time. And he wanted his mom to sign a few papers before the party got kicked off. He had planned to get good and schnockered, I'm assuming. He was going to have a good time. He didn't want to have to think about it. But as he drives over to his mother's home, which is a penthouse, which means she's probably 15, at least floors up in the air. As he gets there, he sees a man go splat-a-tat-tat on the carpet, on the concrete. He then claims that he was so shocked, he almost didn't know what to do. So the Logan Paul lawyer is like, dude, are you telling me that you went and delivered the papers to your mom and then you just went to a party? Is that really how you get down? And Steven's like, no, of course not. I actually never gave the papers to my mom. What I did is I made an anonymous call to 911 and I told him there was a grown man that had splattered-tat-tatted on the concrete in a jogging suit. And the Logan Paul lawyer looks at Stephen and he says, okay, well, did you see anything else? This fresh face mother lover has the audacity to say, yeah, I looked up and I saw my mother. My mother pushed Mark Jennings off the side of a building. Adam is indignant. Alexis is indignant. They can't even believe this is the same bloodline here. What you mean you saw me push somebody off something? Adam jumps up. And he says, isn't it true, I'm paraphrasing here, that you're a jealous, spoiled brat who wants to run all of Colby Cove, which my mother has left to you, and by framing her for murder, this would absolutely put you in the perfect position to do so. Isn't that the absolute truth? Stephen has the nerve to get indignant, says that's a damn lie. Adam, because he's unprepared, is like, that's all I have to say. He's brand new to this family. This is a lot of pressure on... on a fresh son. I, for one, am shocked. I was yelling at the television, Stephen, mother-loving Carrington, I can't believe you have the balls to sit on this stand and point at her. In my personal opinion, I absolutely know she didn't push him over. That just doesn't seem like her style, and we all saw her go to the party. She had a good old time. Even if you saw your mother push him off the side, you better come up with a better story. I'm sorry. You got to be loyal in this part. I don't know what I saw. I didn't actually see anybody push him. I saw him fall. I did not see him push, which is true, because what you're not going to tell me is that you pulled up, as you were parking, you saw a man splatter-tat-tat on the concrete, and then you looked up and was like, oh yeah, that happened. You didn't see anybody get pushed. Circumstantial. Not enough evidence. This whole trial is a travesty. It's the Carrington audacity that I think carries this show in a lot of ways. They are absolutely nose blind to any of their own ish. They are absolutely unself-aware, and it makes for really good entertainment. So can you imagine the way Alexis is feeling listening to this? She's like, I don't even understand why you're sitting here telling the world that you saw me kill a man. Stephen goes on to explain, as he's questioned by the Logan Paul looking lawyer, the Logan Paul lawyer says to him, Stephen, you love your mom, right? I absolutely love my mom, of course. So there's no way you would just point the finger at her for no reason. He's like, no, I definitely wouldn't, but I know who I saw. I know my mom. I'm positive it was her. I looked up. I saw my mama. Okay, so here comes the funny part, right? Logan Paul looking lawyer wants to know, well, how do you know? No, it was your mom. It was super high up. How can you be sure? That's a very fair question. Steven says, well, I know my mama because she's my mama, but also it was her hair. She had got her hair did that day. And also it was her dress. Mind you, 15 stories in the air. Okay? From the ground. I saw my mama and I know it was her dress because she had to deliver to the office earlier that day. And I saw it and she was wearing it. And I saw it clearly from the ground. She's 15 floors up. This does not go over well. Alexis is looking at him like, you ungrateful little bastard. Steven has the audacity, the Carrington audacity, just like his no good father, to show up to Alexis's visitation in the detention center and demand to know why she didn't tell him she killed a man. She's like, you get out of my whole face, Steven. You can't believe you brought your country behind in here to tell me anything. I have been loyal to you. I have been a good mother when I could. You're the only child I had a creepy oil painting made of. Mother loving. I ain't say nothing. I ain't never tripped not one day in your life about you being gay. But when your daddy knew, what did he do? He killed your whole ex-boyfriend. He took you to court to sue you for your child. I would never. I have been nothing but super duper amazing to you. I gave you a whole job at my new man's company. I made you the king of all things. And this is how you repay me? Yes, I bullied your wife into better fashion, but somebody needed to do it, damn it. Look at her now. She looks amazing. I tried to get rid of that hillbilly of a baby mama you have, and look at how you repay me. This is how you repay me? Guess what? I ain't got no son named Steven. I almost said banish you. What's the word? Let's say banish. In my head, as this whole scene is going on, I'm remembering the movie To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julianne Moore, with Patrick Swayze, John Leguizamo, and Wesley Snipes. Now, Wesley Snipes and Patrick Swayze's character are Noxzema and Vida. I cannot for the life of me remember John Leguizamo's character, but she was a young one. At some point, she said something to piss off Noxzema and Vida. So they... Vita's like, I strip you of your title. And she, like, imaginarily, she rips up some imaginary paper. In my head, that's exactly what Alexis did. Guess what, Steven? You ain't got no mama now. You can go back to your deadbeat, abusive, murdering father. That's the thing. That's a real murderer. And he's playing in her face. But she's like, okay, I see you. I ain't got no son named Steven. So I guess Blake has got enough tea for the day. He decides to meet Dominique Devereaux, his sister from the same mister, at, you guessed it, one of the many, many Mountain View terraces at La Mirage. I'm still trying to figure out Dominique's play here, okay? She's way too eager to be seen as a Carrington. The daddy clearly doesn't represent her, doesn't acknowledge her, but she wants Blake to, and she wants him to so badly that she has made money moves. She has sold some clubs in Morocco and different places so that she can come up with enough capital to buy Blake out or to at least become a partner. So she presents him with a check for $50 million. I'm going to admit I was a little bit distracted in the background because there was a sort of cute Italian dude, I guess, in a V-neck shirt. I'm like, what is he doing back there? Then I had to focus again. Okay, what y'all talking about? No disrespect to anybody. Dominique says, you can have $50 million for your sinking ship of a company if you make me a partner. $51.49. Blake's like, I absolutely would never, ever do that to anybody. And this has always been a family company. She's like, but don't you remember when I had told you? We're brothers and sisters. I think Blake's still a little upset that he's not black. But he's like, well, I mean, no. I don't take it personal. I would not sell this whole company to anyone. Nobody's going to have a majority of this company ever. So she gets up to leave, and she's like, okay, that's my first and only attempt at this. But as she stands up, he remembers he's a broke boy with very few friends, and his sister might be his only lifeline. So he says, Dominique, $70 million, and I will give you 40% of my company. She's like, bet, I'll take it. So now they all cute or whatever. How you doing, bro? How you doing, sis? It's so good to see you. This is music to Blake's ears, but he does something really annoying. So he goes to the detention center where Alexis is being held, and he presents her with a check for $12 million, which is apparently the payoff for his mortgage. She looks at him As he looks at her with a straight face, he's like, what the hell am I going to do with a check in jail? You did not come to give me that money. You just wanted to rub it in my face. I can't wait till I get out of prison. You and your son are on my list, okay? You're either for me or you're against me. Both of y'all are on my list. I guess since Blake doesn't really have a job at the moment, he decides to just hang around La Mirage later, and he invites Crystal over for dinner. I don't know why Crystal is dressed like the Grand Master of Ceremonies at the Heaven's Gate cult. She's got on like this silver lame nun's bib over a black choir robe. Crystal is on one today. We might need to talk about her. Is she taking prenatal vitamins or is she taking quick? I don't know what she's on. But she looking crazy, and all I can hear is, I'd rather be with you. Yeah. All I can hear is Bootsy Collins or George Clinton in the background. Like, what? I'd rather be with you. Oh, yeah. I don't know what she's thinking, but it's driving me nuts. But apparently, Crystal will now have to testify against Alexis. She can't wait. Probably why she got on that alien aluminum foil. But as she and Blake are discussing it, she's basically telling Blake, well, I can't wait to testify because I think she's guilty. Plus, I don't think Steven would lie about something like that. So I believe him. That means she did it. I can't wait to sit down and say what I need to say. But before they get too comfortable, some yokel from Oklahoma comes to sit down and say, Blake, I am so disappointed. You didn't reach out and ask me to spend that good money on the new project you're trying to work on. Now, this seems to be a friend. Crystal is friendly because this seems to be Blake's friend, who suddenly talks them out of their draws by way of being like, hey, I don't want to stay at a hotel. Can I stay at your 50-room mansion? Of course you can, they say. Dude turns out to be a total and complete creep. I'm starting to notice a pattern here. Blake does not have a real friend. Not one. You can sort of count lawyer Andrew, but that's an employee, as was Joseph. Blake ain't got no friend. At some point, that is a reflection of you and not anyone else. But that's neither here nor there, because Crystal has her day in court. She is pregnant, she is pissed off, and she has the opportunity to get on the stand and rip Alexis to shreds. Now, do you think she will? Apparently, the trailer parks in Ohio are heavy on the loyalty, because even though she could roast this woman and drag her for Phil, she does not. She simply observes and reports. We'll get to that here in a second. Crystal simply tells the truth. She says that, yes, she had saw Mark the same day that he died. He'd stopped by. He was in really great spirits. He wanted to say goodbye. He was on his way out of town. He mentioned that he and Alexis weren't getting along. He called her a nuisance, nothing more. Adam points out that that's hardly the sort of name you would call someone you were afraid of. A nuisance. She's just a nuisance. Crystal says those were his words, not mine. Adam asked if he was acting weird in any other way. She goes, he wasn't acting weird, but he did say that he was on top of the world and he knew someone who wanted to push him off, but he didn't name a name. Alexis is a little bit perplexed by this. She's just staring Crystal down. Crystal has put on some normal clothes and they're having one of their iconic stare-offs. It's time for Alexis to have lunch, and I respect this woman so much because she doesn't have regular takeout. She doesn't have someone run down the street and grab her something from Subway. She has her wait staff bring in a silver platter, champagne, and a whole delectable meal. This woman does not eat off paper plates. She does not eat off anything other than fine china because she understands her worth. Let this be a lesson to all of us now. Now I'm talking real loud for no reason. My fine china is sometimes my glass Tupperware, you know? Alexis doesn't do dishes. I do dishes. I love a good paper plate. But nonetheless, I saw this scene and I said, you know what, Jet? It is time to hold yourself in higher regard. You need to have a little bit more respect for yourself. Stop eating lunch out of styrofoam cartons. Okay, back to business. Alexis and Adam are just trying to figure out what is going on. They're deducing that somebody saw someone on the terrace. She was none the wiser because she really was getting dressed. She was washing her body, getting her hair did, and then she left. Why would she report to Mark her comings and goings? That's my whole thing. She would not be answering to him. She's the boss. And plus, she's not always invited to family functions, so there's no way in hell she's going to be late to this. Alexis takes a break from her meal to tell Adam, I'm going to go on the witness stand. And Adam is like, Mama, 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 please, please. You or me, I am you. We tend to get loud. We tend to get a little belligerent. And that's when we're lying. When we're telling the truth, we're even louder and more belligerent. I really don't think you need to be on the court. I don't think you need to do this. Poor Adam can't win for losing because Alexa's like, oh, okay, you also want to disrespect me. Guess what? You're fired. I suspect that Adam calls up the drunk judge and says, hey, yo, could you talk to my mama real quick? Because she done fired me at this point. She wants to get on the stand. I think it is a grave mistake. The judge agrees. Calls her into his chambers and says, listen, you ain't got no lawyer. And there's already a perception about you, Miss Lady. Are you sure you want to get on trial? Are you sure you want to get on the stand and talk to these juries? Talk to the jury. She's like, yeah, hell yeah, I can do it. Well, you know what happened. You absolutely know what happens. Ask her to tell the court, well, what happened the night that Mark died? She goes, okay, so boom, I came home and I had already written a check because he was going to blackmail me. I accepted I was being blackmailed. Well, he seen me walking in there looking all good, smelling all good, be me, I am her. And he tried to tap me. He wanted to lay me down real quick before I went off. And I already said, listen, I already paid my good money. I'm not going to do this with you. Clearly, he was upset that he couldn't hit this one more time, but I didn't really care. I went to my bathroom. I luxuriated in my jacuzzi pool. I lotioned, I oiled, I put on my custom gown, and then I went downstairs and got into the back of my luxury car and was driven to my daughter's party where I went and I talked crazy to Crystal. I did all the things. Now, I'm exaggerating here just a little bit, but that's what I recall her doing. She goes, I understand what it looks like, but at the end of the day, I didn't have a reason to kill that man. I didn't kill that man. I was going to a party. Well, Logan Paul lawyer says, he jumps up and he's like, okay, cool. You got dressed. You went to the party. Boom, boom, boom. Can you tell me what you wore? And she said, well, I wore this black beaded number. And Logan Paul says, and a cape. This is where my spidey sense starts to tingle. Now, I don't remember exactly what she was wearing, but I thought she had on something white. I can't imagine her in a cape, though, because Alexis loves a good cold shoulder. She loves showing off them shoulder blades. And I feel like a cape would cover... If she was wearing a coat, yes, she might have on a cape. I don't think she would with that dress, and that's not what I remember. But then I'm like, but do I remember that? Do I remember her sitting at the mirror with Crystal and she had on a cape? I don't know. But I'm thinking, no, it does not seem like that would be what she would be wearing. Plus, when she was talking crazy to that Hess guy in the car, I could see her shoulder. Well, Alexis and I seem to have the same thought process because she says, no, I didn't wear the cape. I decided to wear my fur, which does seem that's in line. That seems like something she would do. Well, Logan Paul lawyer pulls out a cape. He's like, can you tell me what this says? Can you look at this, please? Because she's rich and wealthy and that girl, and she doesn't want people stealing her things, she has a C embroidered into the cape. She's like, well, no, what had happened was it didn't show up to the office. What had happened was my dress showed up. That's all that showed up. So I just threw on a fur and went about my business. I didn't wear the cape. I was over it. I have the option because I'm wealthy. And the dude's like, well, why is it ripped? Why are your initials in it? Alexis is like, dude, I know two broads in California right now who are just as shady as me. They have the exact same initials. That could be Angela Channing and her perms. Do it smell like activator? Or there's this girl named Abby. Now, she ain't got money like me, but she definitely knows how to swindle money. Does it smell like car dealership and stale booze from a man named Gary? That's what I'm thinking. It could be anybody with those initials. Those are just initials. Logan Paul lawyer is not having it. She's like, I didn't kill nobody. The man's like, so let me get this straight. This man wanted to lie you down one more time. He wasn't leaving your house. You had already given him $100,000 and he just left like nothing else happened. She's like, listen, he's a hustler. He's a blackmailer. He was completely beneath me. And yes, he deserved to die. But let the record reflect me nor my cape killed him. Adam is just looking like, God, mom. What do we talk about? What did we discuss? The lawyer's just like, yeah. Likely story. This is when Alexis becomes Alexis. She can't help herself. She's standing up. She's yelling, I didn't kill him. Yes, he deserved to die. I didn't kill him, but I didn't do it. Wasn't me. It was AC. Wasn't me. Wrong AC. So later that night, Crystal is in her choir robe again. This time with the red V-neck. It's not as hideous as the rest. She's just trying to chill, watching the TV, trying to go over the case. Blake comes in and starts massaging her shoulders. She turns off the TV. She's just sort of touching his hand. And she quickly realizes that it's not Blake. It's weirdo. It's Oklahoma dude. And he's like, hey, you know what I'm saying? You upset and I'm a guest. Think you can hook a brother up? This is how I know Crystal is pregnant. Pregnancy gives you this weird sort of imbalance. And by that, I don't just necessarily mean mentally. I mean physically. Pregnant women are notorious for tripping over things. Like you're trying to offset this new concentrated weight in your body plus all this new blood and all this crap. My girl Crystal is not doing well. She's not doing well because her one-hitter quitter is broken. Normally, she can slap the fire out of somebody from 14 yards away. She goes to reach back and slap the taste out of Oklahoma's mouth, and he blocks her. I said, Crystal, you're getting too soft. Too much champagne, too much Chanel. You need to get outside and lift some barrels, start crushing some cans, start chasing some wildlife. I don't know, eat some roadkill, do something. She got to get that trailer park straight back. This mother lover is not detoured at all by the fact that she is A, pregnant, B, not interested, or C, wanted to knock his head smooth off his shoulders. So she goes upstairs to continue her night routine in her choir robe gown. In my head, she's humming the theme from Amen. She's putting on her cold cream or whatever, and Blake walks in, and she's like, your little dirty Oklahoma friend Hal tried to put his hands all up and down my body. Blake's like, oh, that's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. Tell him to get out. Now, I can't do that, Crystal. I need money. Mind you, his sister just gave him 70 million reasons to kick this man out, but he's like, listen, that's crazy that he tried to fill you up, but also I need to keep friends, so, do you think next time you could just, he doesn't say this, but he might as well say this, like, do you think you could just kind of be cool about him touching you? You know what I'm saying? The pregnant wife you love so much. Blake is a creep. Promises Crystal, he's going to have some very choice words for Oklahoma on tomorrow. Just got to make sure he signs a contract first, then I'm going to let him have it. What a weirdo. So the next day, Alexis gives her closing statements because she's fired everyone, as does the other lawyer. He claimed he has proved beyond any reasonable doubt that Alexis heave-hoed Mark Jennings off the side of a building. Alexis says, okay, I realize that all the evidence looks like I might have accidentally on purpose pushed a man off the side of a building after writing him a check for $100,000, but I assure you I did it. Period. That's all. Adam goes to visit her in the clink just to make sure they cool. And she's like, Adam, I'm sorry, baby. You know I'm a hothead. I stay firing and hiring you and kicking you in and out of my will. But I'm so grateful that I have at least one child who still loves me, even though I left you in the bassinet in the rain to be kidnapped by some lady out of Billings, Montana. I'm real sorry about all that. He's like, don't trip. I'm good. But Steve-O face is not so good. And he takes it upon himself to head back to his mother's penthouse. One of the things in this episode was so weird. They kept calling her home a hotel. I'm like, no, she clearly lives in a penthouse. I'm sure you can have a penthouse suite in a hotel, but I believe she lives in a house. Well, Stephen goes to Alexis's penthouse to look over the terrace so he can sort of, reason with himself, decide whether or not he saw what he saw. But while he's there, Dexter, Mr. I don't knock on doors, Dexter's burst in, and you already know what he came to do. He came to get that work. Now, Dex reminds me of a girl I went to school with named Monique. One time we were in home economics class and someone was going to touch her with pancake mix or something gross that she didn't want on her school clothes because, you had to go on the rest of the day. She begins to freak out in a way where she's covering her face and spinning around. Nobody is moving. She's the only person moving. She starts bumping into walls, bumping into tables, kind of just freaking the hell out without actually seeing what's going on. I remember after she had her feet, someone's like, dude, if you ever get kidnapped, just try to enjoy it because you're going to do more damage to yourself than the kidnapper could ever do to you. That is Dexter. Okay, now Stephen has been in many a fight. You know what I'm saying? He's been fighting his whole life. Dexter swings at Stephen and somehow trips over his extra long boots and falls backwards into a table. Now I'm watching this whole thing. Picture a patio table, one of those old ones, the one made of fiberglass. It tips over. This mofo manages to trip backwards and He lands on one of the legs, bends it all backwards. Now, mind you, Steven is putting in that work. Dex is putting in that work. But if I'm being honest, Dex wore himself out. Steven can't throw, but he can throw hands. He definitely got his fighting skills from his mama. He did really, really well. I was very proud of him because Dex was out of line. I don't appreciate Dex's language, especially if you're going to be with Steven's mom. You're going to need to respect Steven, even if you don't like him. We don't watch our tone. I don't like it. So anyway, they beat the crap out of each other for nothing. All they really did is tear up Alexis's house. They broke her furniture out on the patio. They broke a window. They broke some furniture inside, but it's really no big deal because she seems to change out the furniture every 2 to 3 months anyway. So Lord willing, she don't go to jail. She'll be able to redecorate. Only that's not looking like that's going to happen because by episode's end, the drunk judge has sobered up. Everyone has shown back up to court. Steven and Dex look like they had been in a little fist fight. The verdict is read. Alexis is guilty. My girl is going to be locked up for the foreseeable future, all because her son ain't got no loyalty. It's devastating. This episode was so fun for me. I live for a moment where Alexis is... It's gonna go off. I live for a Dexter moment. I enjoy Adam popping off for no reason. We got all three of them this episode. And I couldn't help but think this whole time, I forgot to mention, Claudia was here. Claudia didn't really have any speaking parts, but I could tell that her medication was wearing off. She was shocked. She was definitely almost as drunk as the judge this entire time. But did her clothes look good? They did, because guess who got her together? Her mother-in-law. Is her hair crunchy? It is absolutely not crunchy. She's got proper highlights. She's got a proper cut because she was bullied into her potential. It's okay sometimes. There's different sorts of loyalty here, okay? I can dislike you, but love my son enough to want his wife to be a baddie. I can dislike you, but be loyal enough to the truth where I don't drag my husband's ex-wife a la Crystal. She got up there, said what she needed to say. She did not incriminate this woman in any way. Steven has moved down my list of favorites for a very long time, but this is absolutely it. I can't even believe you got your narrow new face butt up there and denied the truth. All you had to say was, my mother doesn't lift plates, let alone a man off the side of a building. I ain't never seen her push. Now, quiet as kept. You might have never seen her push anybody, but I've seen her fist fight a couple times. Her and Crystal have gone through it. She could have very well darted out and pushed him over the edge, but like I said, she had a party to go to. She had a custom dress, and she needed to talk trash and stunt when she got there. I know she didn't do it. I just can't wait to see how they prove she didn't do it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for another fun-filled edition of Soap Lore. I hope you had a good time. I have. I cannot wait to see how they claw themselves out of this. I'm just trying to figure out who. I don't think anybody saw a woman. The neighbor claims she saw a woman. I think they just know she lives there. There's no way. There's no way. There was no what woman. It would have been, unless it was Tracy. Oh my God. Y'all think it was Tracy? Tracy sort of disappeared the last few episodes, but I don't remember her having beef with. Oh, she would have had. Okay, hold on, hear me out. Tracy would have had beef with Alexis in behind Dexter. Now, if you're looking from the ground up, 15 floors at least, or if you're looking across the road, probably 300, 400 yards, then yeah, Tracy in the right ensemble could very much look like Alexis. That's the only woman I can come up with. I can't even think of who else would be in her building like that. All right, guys, that's it. That's all for this episode. If you are a parent, aunt or uncle or teacher, make sure you pull your children aside and teach them about loyalty. If any of you little ankle biters see me push a man off the side of a building, you act like you ain't seen nothing, don't say nothing, you better not look at me funny. Stay hydrated, stay moisturized, mind your own business, and keep all of your drama on TV.